Welcome back to the Weber Kettle series brought to you by Fogo Charcoal here on Chuds BBQ, everybody. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today we're making some pork steaks on the Weber Kettle. Coming up! This is a pork butt. Patted dry. Just your standard run-of-the-mill pork butt. Picked it up at my local grocery store. And all we need to do now is cut it into steaks. I suppose you could go in either direction for steaks. If you want some really big ones, you could go this way, but I'm gonna go this way. That way they're a little bit smaller and they fit on the Weber Kettle a little bit easier. How you doing? And you can make these as thick or as thin as you want. I'm gonna go for about 1.5 inches or so thick. This first one's always a little weird because it's rounded on this side, but that's also the money muscle. So this is one of the most flavorful pork steaks you could have. Probably could have used a bigger knife for this. Weird gash in this one. That's all right, we'll just kind of trim it up a little bit. And there we have a beautiful pork steak, nice and marbled, beautiful fat cap on top, almost looks like bacon. And this is something I like to do from time to time. You buy a big old pork butt, cut it into pork steaks, then vac seal them up and just have them in the freezer at the ready, because you don't see them served like this at the store too often, especially this thick. And because this is a bone-in pork butt, that's as far as I could get until we run into that shoulder blade bone. So now we need to bust out some power tools. Nothing to it. And there we have it. 6 beautiful looking pork steaks. And you could do this with a boneless butt, make life a little bit easier, but the bone-in ones are tradition. And you may want to give these a little rinsey poo to get some of that bone dust off, if this is the route you're gonna go with. Let's get these seasoned up. When it comes to rubs for your pork steaks, I like to keep it real simple with just salt and pepper. Shocker, I know. And that's because we're gonna be cooking this thing over direct heat, and I don't want any powdery substances like paprika to burn. And also we're gonna be hitting this with a mop sauce a little later on, which is gonna be full of onion and garlic and all sorts of good flavors that you would normally find in a rub. So to get the best color on this thing and best cook, we're gonna hit it right now with just salt and pepper. Just a nice coating of some Diamond Crystal Kosher salt. Oh, yeah. And some 16 mesh black pepper. And don't forget the sides, folks. Come on. Rookie move. Onto a wire rack we go. Into the fridge these go overnight because I'm gonna do a dry brine on these. And dry brining your pork steaks is definitely not necessary, but I think it's gonna work out really well. You know, this is pork shoulder after all, and we're gonna be cooking it upwards of 200 degrees. And as we all know, when you cook a pork shoulder up to 200 degrees, that's how you make pulled pork. And we want these things to still be sliceable at the end of the day. So I think the dry brine will really help firm up the meat a little bit and give us that desired texture we're after. Also, because we are gonna be hitting this with a mop sauce, I don't wanna wash away all the salt, so having it penetrate into the meat is a good thing. Plus, it's gonna dry out the exterior, which is gonna give us a great crust. So, into the fridge these go, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Now, traditionally, pork steaks are cooked on a direct heat cooker. The old school Hill Country barbecue joints have these big brick pits where the meat is about 18 to 24 inches above the coal bed. And it really is one of my favorite ways to cook some good barbecue, because you're far enough away from the coals that you can still maintain a nice low and slow cook around 250 or however hot you want to go, but you're not too close to the coals where you're gonna burn or scorch anything too much. Which is why I invented the mini Chud box. I wanted to have that Hill Country barbecue flavor in my backyard. It's not a smoker, it's not a grill, it's somewhere in the middle that produces absolutely fantastic flavor. And because it's not a wood cooker, your smoke is coming from all the fat and juices that render out of the meat while it cooks. They fall down, hit the coals. It's what gives whole hog its signature flavor. But that being said, the Weber Kettle is a grill, and the coal grate is 5 inches below the cooking grate, which is way too close. If we were gonna put these on there, they would sear just like a normal steak. So, to try and get that direct heat flavor, I got myself one of these, an upper rack. This will sit right on the top grate and give us an extra few inches. It's not gonna give us that 18 to 24 inch gap that we're looking for, but I think it'll help. I've never tried this before. Obviously, this thing is brand new, but I think it's gonna work. But we'll find out today if it works. Not gonna lie, folks, I have no idea how many coals to put in here, but this seems like a little bit too much. It is an experiment, after all. Now it's time to go on with our beautiful pork steaks. Looking nice, looking nicely dry brined, feeling nice and firm. So on we go. Alrighty. This is nice because we can actually use the built-in thermometer because it's very close to where this meat is cooking. Well, as expected, right off the bat, this thing is already up to 350 degrees. So I'm gonna close down these bottom grates a little bit, let in less airflow, while keeping this one wide open for maximum exhaust. And we'll see if we can dial it in. I'm aiming for around 250, 300, in that range. 2 hours later, let's see how these pork steaks are looking. Maintaining temps has been a bit all over the place. We're holding right around 300 right now. When I first put them on, on, it was pretty hot, up to 325, 350. So then I closed the vents down on top and bottom, which brought it down to about 250. Held there for a while, and then it kind of steadied out around 275, 300. So, you know, that's just how it is cooking on a Weber kettle. And I gotta say, it smells amazing. Ooh, looking real nice. Love that color. It's got that nice mahogany color to it. Although there's no wood in here. All this smoke you see is just from the fat and the drippings hitting the coals. I gotta say, it smells amazing. Would you look at that, folks? That is exactly what we're looking for. Some beautiful color on there. I mean, come on. And like I was saying, direct heat cooking isn't grilling. We're not trying to get a sear on this. This part got a little toasted. That's where the fat was dripping. But it's this nice Maillard that we're going for on here. Beautiful color. It's just, oh, it's just pure flavor. Love it. So now we're gonna let the underside cook for the next little bit while we go ahead and make ourselves a mop sauce. Pretty standard mop sauce, folks. I've made plenty of mops on the channel before, but it starts out with some butter. And we're just gonna let that melt down. Once nice and bubbly, we're gonna go in with 1 onion, nicely sliced, as well as some garlic. Let these soften up and cook down a little bit. Once nicely softened and smelling absolutely amazing, we're gonna go in with the rest of our ingredients, including 1 cup of white vinegar, 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, 1 sliced up lemon, a healthy squirt, boop, 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 of some hot sauce, boop, couple tablespoons of some Worcestershire sauce, couple tablespoons of some granulated mustard, as well as a couple tablespoons of some brown sugar to help fight all that acidity. Might as well throw in a little pinch of red chili flakes while we're at it. And for some color, we'll go in with some paprika, about a tablespoon of each. Give that a little mixy mix, let this come up to a simmer so everything dissolves. Once up to a simmer and everything is nicely combined, we're gonna thin it out with a little bit of Miller Lite. Oh yeah, save some for Papa. Looking good. You know the drill from here, folks. Get yourself a nice little moppy mop and just start hitting this thing. Oh yes, please. Oh, love it. Up and down, up and down. And don't forget the sides. Now I know mopping your meat may seem like a really old school technique, but I gotta say, I love it. It's a really great way to add some acidity, some heat, and some more complex flavors to your meat at a later stage as opposed to including them in your rub. And much like a paper wrap, it's gonna help soften any corners that are getting too crispy. And because we're lowering the surface temperature of the meat, it's gonna allow it to stay above those coals even longer without burning or turning black. And not to mention, all that mop that falls off is gonna drip right into those coals, creating some steam and moisture in the cooking environment, as well as a whole bunch of great aromas that we want surrounding our meat. So if you've never mopped your barbecue before, I highly recommend giving it a try. It is definitely worth it. But that being said, I'm gonna maintain temps for the next hour or so. I'm gonna mop this every 10, 15 minutes or so until these come up to temp. 1 hour and several mops later, these pork steaks are done. I did flip them over at one point to get some mop sauce on the other side, and then flipped them immediately back over to let that mop sauce kind of cook into the meat. But these are feeling nice and tender. Oh, beautiful. Right around 190 internal, which is right where we want to be because it's not too hot that they're going to shred apart, but we can still be sure that all the fat is rendered and we've got some beautiful flavor. So off the pit these come. All right, one final mop. Love it. Oh, they look so beautiful. So now all we need to do is let these rest down to an internal temperature of around 150 degrees, and then we'll slice on in. So I ended up wrapping these up in foil because the flies were rampant. But that being said, they have rested, and it's time to slice on in. And I gotta say, folks, that's a good looking pork steak. Lovely color on there. Smells absolutely fantastic. Let's slice on in. Looking nice and juicy. It's like a tiny little brisket. Nicely rendered fat, got a little bit of a smoke ring on there. That's pretty cool. Lovely crust on there. That's what a pork steak is all about, is that crust. But let's give this a taste test real quick. Oh my God. Wow. That is it. That is the taste of a pork steak. I'm actually pretty shocked about how accurate that tastes compared to the Chud box. You know, it's got that fat smoke flavor. It's got that crust. That mop sauce did its job. Cooked on beautifully. I mean, just look at it. Beautiful color all the way around. Flavor is there. I think these cooked a little hotter and faster than I would have liked. They are falling apart a little bit, these slices. But I'm never gonna complain about meat being too tender. That direct heat flavor though, it's unlike anything you're ever gonna get off of an offset or just from straight grilling. It's like that char-broiled flavor to the max. It's so good. It's tender, it's smoky, it's crispy. That mop sauce adds such a good flavor. That vinegar that bakes into it, It's hard to explain, folks. It's just a perfect little morsel. It's so good. So, results. Can you cook a really good hill country style pork steak on a Weber kettle? Yes. This was my first attempt at it on that wire rack, and as you can see, it is a little too tender. It's falling apart a little bit. Should have pulled it a little bit sooner, but these results are incredible. Like, the flavor profile is there 110%. It tastes exactly like anything I'd ever cook on a direct heat pit. And for a first stab at it, I think it's a success. So good. So tender. So rendered. So fatty. Yet tangy and spicy, but not too spicy. Y'all definitely need to give this a try. If you've never had hill country style barbecue before, this is a perfect way to go about it in your backyard. Next time I would put in a little less charcoal, aim that temp down to be around 225, 250. But other than that, I'd say this is a major success and definitely worth giving a shot in your backyard. With that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you want to see me cook next. If you give this a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to Fogo Charcoal. Thank you for sponsoring the Weber Kettle series. And until the next time I see y'all, please go cook something outside. Peace.